Following SummerSlam in the Garden, Rock's popularity skyrocketed with every week in September while being placed in the main event spot for 2 out of the 3 shows. Rock's biggest 24 hours on the way to being further cemented as the business next megastar came on September 27 to 28, with the Breakdown pay-per-view crowd giving him the biggest ovation on the night, including one of the biggest reactions of the year for the double People's Elbow spot, while a day later in the 3-on-2 main event with Shamrock and Mankind, Rock pinned Taker clean in a match, drawing a 4.3 rating and then going unopposed, jumping almost 2 million viewers to a peak 6.1. Shamrock's biggest number of the month came on September 14 with him challenging Austin for the WWF title, drawing Raw's peak 4.9 rating, while on the same night Rock faced Kane in a match, gaining over 600,000 viewers to a 4.1. With Shamrock and Rock playing off the crowd reactions, going through a double turn during the month. The Wolfpack vs. Hollywood NWO feud continued in September, with the main focus placed on the build-up for the first Nash vs. Hall match in the Outsiders era, with Nash officially challenging Hall to the match at Halloween Havoc after a main event tag match with Luger and Ray as partners, drawing a show-high 4.2 rating. A week later Nash worked a match against Bryan Adams, gaining over 400,000 viewers, while Luger and Conan also having a quick tag match later in the show, both doing 3.7 quarters, with Luger involved in a match against Hall on September 14 doing a 4.8. The Scott Hall drinking angle went to the next level in September, playing off legit issues going on at the time, while adding over-the-top elements to distinguish it as a TV storyline. Hall came out with a drink for a match against Luger in September 14 in no condition to work, leading to a worked shoot follow-up with Bischoff, Luger and Nash breaking character to try to get Hall to the back, with the Hall vs. Luger match along with the intervention segment jumping over 900,000 viewers to a 4.8 rating. Hall was scheduled for a main event tag match against Nash and Luger a week later, but went to the commentary table instead, until coming out to attack Nash and set up the Hall vs. Nash pay-per-view match, doing a peak 4.2, with Hall closing the month in a match against Billy Kidman, jumping over 600,000 viewers to a 4.5 rating. Undertaker and Kane were unleashed by Vince on the entire roster in September after Taker didn't get the belt off Austin at SummerSlam, going on a rampage throughout the show with the main opposition against the three-way of Rock, Shamrock and Mankind. Kane and Taker both worked high-profile matches on the Loaded Raw show on September 14, with Kane against Rock drawing an hour-high 4.1 rating, while 30 minutes later a Taker vs. Mankind hardcore match did a 4. Taker and Kane came out to open Raw as McMahon's protection on September 21, while an hour later worked a tag match against Austin and Billy Gunn, doing a peak 5.1 rating, with their biggest number of the month coming a week later, a day after the Breakdown pay-per-view, with them turning on McMahon and breaking his leg following the Zamboni Chaos scene, doing a 5.5. While also main eventing the show in a 3-on-2 handicap match against Rock, Shamrock and Mankind. With the 8-year-in-the-making rematch against Warrior officially booked more than a month in advance after Hogan made the challenge on September 14 and Warrior accepted in the same show an hour later, Hogan's role during the month was limited compared to his usual storylines, with him involved in only 3 advertised segments during the head-to-head period against Raw. A week after the match was said, WCW had a series of Warrior mind game angles, including him kidnapping Hogan's disciple and setting his locker room on fire, with Hogan coming out for the response over 2 hours later at over 11 p.m. with Warrior revealing that disciple jumped to the OWN in the Overrun segment, doing a 4 rating. While that feud was going on, Bret Hart attempted to turn babyface, saying that Hogan was responsible for everything he did in the last 5 months, setting up both Hogan and Hart's biggest number of the month in the main event on September 28 with the first ever match between them. The Hogan vs. Bret match, after over 2 hours of hype being promoted as one of the biggest matches in wrestling TV history, picked up a massive audience with over 1.8 million viewers to a peak 5.2 rating. The main storylines on WWF television on Raw and Heat were all building to Vince McMahon's master plan reveal on September 27, with him guaranteeing that Austin would lose the title after booking him in a 3-way against Kane and Taker to open the first Raw back on its regular time slot after 2 weeks out due to the US Open on the USA Network. One of Vince's biggest nights on TV to date took place on September 28 with him involved in all top 4 highest-rated opposed segments on the show, first coming out with Austin's costume skull title belt a day after the plan succeeded, opening Raw with its highest viewership in over 2 months, doing a 4.7 rating, while 40 minutes later the start of McMahon's planned title ceremony already picked up 1 million viewers to a 4.8. Before jumping to a 5.5 with the Austin interruption and the McMahon-Austin confrontation to the parking lot, along with the follow-up of Taker and Kane breaking Vince's leg, maintaining a 4.8 rating. After the last 6 months of personal back-and-forth lawsuits along with years of personal and professional dispute, Ric Flair returned to WCW TV to reform the Horsemen on September 14 to one of the biggest ovations in history, before taking the microphone for one of the most anticipated promos of all time, with him cutting a shoot promo on Eric Bischoff to kick off their program, gaining big with over 1.5 million viewers to WCW's highest-rated quarter of the month, drawing a 5.4 rating, and a segment which Flair, due to the crowd reaction and the TV rating, called the biggest of his career. The reality-based feud continued the following week and perhaps taken even another step forward, with Flair and Bischoff going back and forth in an almost 20-minute unscripted shoot confrontation face-to-face in the ring for the first time, jumping over 1 million viewers to a peak 4.2 rating, ending the month in a short segment to set up future angles, with Bischoff kicking the Horsemen out of the building, gaining over 400,000 viewers. Steve Austin had the most peak segments of any performer in the business in September '98, with him involved in all 3 of Raw's show-high numbers with big viewership gains throughout. Raw came back to Monday nights on September 14 after 2 weeks on Saturday, with the company looking to build back momentum, putting on one of the most loaded cards in show history, headlined by the first ever Austin vs. Shamrock match, jumping over 1.2 million viewers to a peak 4.9 rating, with Austin's tag match with Billy Gunn against Taker and Kane in the breakdown preview, spiked Raw over 1.4 million viewers to a 5.1. Austin's biggest number of the month also came in one of the most memorable segments of his career, a day after losing the belt, driving a Zamboni to the ring in the middle of the title ceremony to take out McMahon with a flying clothesline, which saw the segment gain over 1.7 million viewers and total to a 5.5 rating. The build-up to the first Sting vs. Bret Hart match was heating up with several turns during the month, starting with Bret's babyface turn promo on September 14th, on a night headlined by a hyped one of the biggest matches in wrestling TV history, with Sting challenging Goldberg for the WCW title and the first match between them doing a peak 6.1 rating. A week later, Sting made the save for Bret against Scott and Bagwell in a segment jumping over 300,000 viewers, while on September 28, after Bret sold knee injury and was unable to continue his match against Hogan, Sting took his place and had the match won until Bret came back to the ring to turn heel back on Sting, with the match drawing a show-high 5.2 rating. Bill Goldberg headlined the first head-to-head Monday since August 24 on September 14, with Raw set to be headlined by an Austin vs. Shamrock title match. After the challenge on Heat a day earlier, WCW responded big, putting on the first ever Goldberg vs. Sting match against it head-to-head, starting at over 11 p.m. into the overrun against the second half of Austin vs. Shamrock, which saw WCW jump huge with around 2 million viewers to a peak 6.1 rating, while at the same time Raw dropped from a 4.9 to 4.1. With him getting massive media publicity due to being a Jewish wrestling heavyweight champion, Goldberg was off the show on September 21, allegedly due to the company not wanting him to appear on the Jewish New Year holiday on the same night. Goldberg's only real advertised appearance during the month was the Sting match, with the other one coming in different circumstances, as after Chris Jericho was taunting him in the last few weeks and promising a match against him, the announcers sarcastically hyped a Goldberg vs. Jericho match with the idea that it's Jericho's Goldberg imposter, ending up with a real Goldberg coming out carrying him to the ring and taking out Jericho's crew, with the segment and Goldberg's appearance, while too short to make a significant difference in numbers, still picked up over 300,000 viewers to win its quarter with a 4 to 3.9 rating, one of only 2 WCW quarters to beat Raw on the night.